Hey, good morning, everyone. Oh, no. We can do better than that. DC Creative Mornings, good morning. Yes. Oh, I felt that. That was like a big hug. I'm really glad to be here. And I want to thank Joel Daly and the entire team at Creative Mornings for having me. I also want to thank whoever made that awesome playlist that we were listening to. It wasn't, I was like, I heard Electric Feel and then a song about shock, and then I was like, wait a minute, there's a theme to the songs. I'm still waiting for Peter Gabriel, Shock the Monkey, but it was good. I want to get us started. As Joel said, I'm a performance artist and a writer, and I want to get us started with a poem that I wrote, something to wake us up, and it's a call and response. So that means that you have to play your part, but it's really easy, and you're going to enjoy it, I promise. Okay, that's me. So the title of the poem is In the District, and that's your line, all right? So I'll give you a cue with my hands, and you will go, in the district. So we're gonna practice that a couple of times. And then this is a go-go poem, and I don't have a drummer or a beatboxer with me, but we'll just snap. And I think, you know, hopefully some people have that go-go, funk, hardcore background and can get into it. So let's practice. So I'll go, I think you could do better. All right, here we go. All right, very good. So, let's see if I can get the beat. You can snap with me. Okay, that's good. All right. You were late. You gotta be like on it. We gotta get in the pocket. Okay, we're just gonna go. I'll try to help you out, and hopefully, you know, you'll wake up and get into the rhythm. All right, let's get that snap going again. In the district. Mumbo sauce, half smokes, the 70 bus. What? In the district, Nico's tapes, traffic circles, go-go beats. The mug and mango, compliment man, mayor for life. President Obama, Rayful Edmonds, cherry blossoms. Backyardin', junkyardin', we all are. Backyardin', junkyardin', we all are. Sardines, what? And pork and beans. Y'all, I'm from DC. Sardines, hey, and pork and beans. Chuck Brown gon' put it in the pocket. Wind me up, Chuck. Chuck Brown gon' put it in the pocket. Wind me up. What? Monuments and Marvin Gaye, Langston Hughes and Sterling Brown, taxation without representation, condos and gentrification, building high maximums, minimum wages, all Duke, Duke, Ellington, Duke, it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that go-go swing. Duke, Ellington, 2, 3, 4. Cool disco Dan. All right, that wasn't bad for 9 in the morning. That wasn't bad. So on the theme of shock, I actually want to talk about culture shock. And I want to talk about my experience in DC and how it shaped my creative process and the kind of work I make. I moved to DC. I'm just going to change the slide there. This is a piece called Black Space, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. But in terms of my background, I moved to DC 21 years ago in 1994. And like many young people, I came to DC for a summer internship. And I had no intention of staying and every intention of moving back to New York City because that's what young artists are supposed to want to do. I thought that DC was for suits. I thought it had no culture. And remember, this is 1994, so you couldn't Google cool things to do in Washington, D.C. Everything was word of mouth. And before I left New York, though, someone told me to check out a little cafe on P Street in Georgetown called It's Your Mug. And they had a Tuesday night open mic hosted by Tony Asante Lightfoot, who is now a lifelong friend of mine. And I went to this little tiny cafe, and it was amazing to see this incredibly diverse array of Black poets. So the diversity among the Black community, and then also there were whites and Latinos and South Asian folks all mixing together to create a predominantly Black cultural space within a predominantly white neighborhood within a predominantly Black city. So all of these beautiful layers. And I would say that I experienced a kind of beautiful shock. You know, I grew up in California, and after years of being sort of the only Black in my classroom, or the only Black in my workplace, or the only Black at the avant-garde experimental art show, it was amazing to go places in DC and just be surrounded by Black and brown folks. And it took a while to get used to. In an odd way, I'd be like, oh, what's going on here? Okay, well, this is cool. I see people who look like me. And after I would ride my bike, and I would take the buses, and there was also this wonderful range of working class and middle class, and then you even got like the Gold Coast affluent Blacks. And so it just gave this sense of pride and possibility. It felt very liberating as a young Black woman to be in this space and see this sort of beautiful spectrum and range, and know that you could fall anywhere within that spectrum. And lately in DC, I've been experiencing a different kind of culture shock. So if you had told me 20 years ago that I would walk down Georgia Avenue at night and there would be bars full of young white kids, I would not have believed you. But the other week, I was in All Saints, and I was the only Black person. I don't know if you guys have been to that bar yet. It's a great bar. But it was like, oh, okay, this is different. This is very different. Georgia Avenue. So as an artist, I'm really, really interested in these crux moments, these pivotal shifts. And I'm deeply interested in identity, how we define ourselves individually, how we define our communities and neighborhoods and cities. And I'm interested in cultural preservation. And I don't mean preserving historic buildings. I mean capturing these sort of ephemeral, intangible things that define a place and define a people. I used to live on Euclid Street. I've pretty much lived in Adams Morgan my entire 21 years. I just moved, so I lived at 17th and Euclid, then for many years I lived at 16th and Crescent, and now I live at 16th and Calorama. So apparently I'm not trying to leave the city or my neighborhood. And when I lived on Euclid Street, there was this old timer at the end of the block, and he would always, he had a chair, and he would sit outside in front of his building. And we would just acknowledge each other. A lot of times I'd be zooming by on my bike, and if I was walking, he'd say, well, where's your bike today? And I'd say, oh, I'm just walking down the street. And he'd say, okay. And if I had gone out of town for a couple weeks, he'd say, where you been? I haven't seen you. And even though we never knew each other's names, there was something so lovely about that acknowledgement. And for me, that acknowledgement and recognition is the basis of community, and by extension, an affirmation of humanity. And we can't have community if we can't see each other. We can't have community if my little brother or nephew or one of my students holds the door open for you at the ATM machine so you can get inside with your baby stroller, and you respond by calling the police. And I'm referring to the Jason Goolsby incident that just happened. You know, and for those of you who don't know, Jason is an 18-year-old. Not that anyone would know this, seeing him on the street, but he was a music honors student, freshman at UDC. He was standing in an ATM machine. A white woman with a stroller and a gentleman was with her as well. They walked into the bank, and he held the door open for them. And he was trying to decide if he should take money out and how much money he should take out. So he was like just hanging out, uncertain. And she felt uncomfortable and left and called 911, which ended up with him being really very forcefully held by the police. And it was just a total misunderstanding. But these are the things that I think are important to consider in our cities and in our communities as we go through shifts in our different demographics and population. Valuing acknowledgement is particularly important in Black communities, and something I've seen across the diaspora in Africa and the Caribbean when I've traveled. It's particularly important in this contemporary moment we're in right now, where once again Black folks are having to remind the rest of the world that our lives matter. And the truth is, we all need to be seen, recognized, acknowledged. And I would say that the impetus of my work is to create communities, even temporary ones, to remind us of that need, and to also remind us that we have the ability to create community at any moment. And I want to kind of take a moment to thank the folks here at Creative Mornings, because I feel like they're doing exactly that. From the moment I walked in, I was so welcomed, and I met a lighting designer as I was walking in, and he checked in on me. Are you okay? You don't have any coffee. Do you need anything? And one of the volunteers brought me some food because I was working on my notes, and people kept asking me if I wanted coffee or something to drink. She went and got me tea. And there's just this sense of being cared for. You know, when you can walk into a space with people you don't know and at least know that you're cared for, there's something so powerful and special about that. So I think Creative Mornings is a beautiful example of what we're trying to do in the city. So this piece right here is called Black Space, and it's kind of a physical metaphor for the kinds of things I've been talking about. It's a small house, 8 foot by 8 foot, and the foundation of the house is the map of Washington, D.C. I'll show another clip in a moment, but 3 sides of the house are normal, and 1 side is corrugated steel along the river line. So in a way, it's kind of a broken house or an unstable house, but it's still standing. And this was when it was at the Emerge Art Fair. And we did a series of performances and dances, and we had a rent party. So that's me dancing at the rent party. And then it moved to MLK Library, which was amazing to have an installation in such a public place where so many types of people cross and intersect. So I'm going to play a 90-second video of us installing the house at MLK Library. Such a little go-go. Also, on the floor of the house, we wood burned the map of Washington, of the metro, And when we finished the install, we put down vinyl tape to represent the metro lines. And as the owner of the house, I would come in and renovate the house 2 or 3 times a week. And I would just fix something and have conversations with people. They would say, what is this house doing? And it was amazing to be able to say, well, let me tell you. And people were so open to sharing their own stories. I met a man from Appalachia who grew up in Bitcher Holler, and he said, you know, the houses we lived in were about this size, these little shotgun houses. And there's a lot of homeless men who spend the days in the library, and it was really interesting to put a house in a place where unhoused people spend their days. And I remember one guy coming in, and he was like, this is nice, I could live here. I put my TV there, my chair, I'd be good. And there's a little girl who would come every week with her mom, and she would come and dance in the house. She's like so gorgeous. So all of these community interactions were happening in this space. And another way that I try to create temporary communities is through social dancing, which I didn't make you guys do today. I just leave it with the poem, but I'll show a few images from some of that type of work. This is a piece I did with Simone Jacobson called Dance One. Do you all remember the Doug Aitken, if you were here a few years ago, Song One projection at the Hirshhorn? And you know, as people who love to dance, we heard the music and we're like, gosh, it'd be so great to just have people dancing to I Only Have Eyes for You. So we put out a call on social media. We said you don't need any experience at all, just a willingness to show up and wear white, and we'll teach you. And we had a 1-hour rehearsal, and 30 people showed up. Of that, 2/3 had never performed in their life. And we paired small groups of people with experienced dancers and taught them in 1 hour, and then we did a 75-minute performance, and it was awesome. It's hard to see in this picture, but this is a piece called Crunk Lessons, which is my remake of Adrian Piper's piece called Funk Lessons, where she taught people about funk music in the 70s in New York City and how to dance to funk music. So I taught people about crunk music and how to dance to it, and that was in Arlington, Virginia. And then I'm going to play a video clip. For the past 2 summers, I've worked with Department of Public Works to create dance pieces with their employees. So parking enforcement, recycling, trash technicians, bucket truck. And so we have the vehicles and the staff all dancing together. We did it at RFK Stadium. It was about a 30-minute piece. I'm just going to play a minute clip of the finale. Folks who've never danced before, but a lot of them are really amazing roller skaters. So you'll see there's a scene where they were like, we want to wear our skates. So I was like, all right. And throughout the piece, I interviewed some of the staff and got quotes from them and put that as part of the soundtrack. So you'd hear their stories about their experience picking up trash, giving parking tickets, towing trash. And what was wonderful for the audience, everyone said, you know, I'll never look at my trash collection person the same again. And I'll be much better about breaking down my recyclables. Thanks. And then I have another body of work that's more about identity, which is something else I said is important to me, in particular the Black female body. This is probably the work I'm best known for as an artist. I have a series where I created something called a booty ball, because there are balls on your booty. And it's looking at the images of Black women in popular culture and thinking about historical figures like Sarah Bartman, who came from South Africa, was brought from South Africa to perform as the Venus Hottentot in Europe. And this is a piece called NWBA. This is a piece called Pay-Per-View, which has a more direct relationship to the Hottentot Venus. It's a peep show, and the audience has to give money for each segment But within that, I start to deconstruct this idea of dancing for money and being a private dancer. And then I have a piece called Moneymaker. And I'm going to show you a video clip. The original performance was at the Corcoran Gallery, and I danced for 7 hours in a glass box. And then I created a sort of studio version where I danced for 100 minutes, 99 minutes. I'm just going to show you a minute clip, or I think it's a minute.
Better! I'm ready to get up and do my thing.
Yeah!
I want to get up and do my thing.
Yeah!
I want to get into it.
Yeah!
Like a
What?
like a sex machine.
Yeah!
Yo, this one right here, I'm right here, I'm getting booty me.
I think to teach a man to hate himself is much more criminal than teaching him to hate someone else. And look at you. Who taught you to hate yourself?
Kicking from the break of dawning till the day am through. Oh Lord, that sun's baking, wearing me out with all the work I do.
Hey, Joel, how much time do we have? I have no idea. Does anyone know how much time I have left? All right, so I'm going to show you a few more slides really quickly, and then I'll end with a poem. I'm good? I'm good. All right, great. I did time it out, but you know, sometimes you get in front of people and you're like, yeah, and you just start chit-chatting. So after doing these kind of more spectacular and theatrical pieces, like the dancing in the box and the gold booty balls, I wanted to do something that was more intimate and close. So this is a piece called Come Clean, where I invited, this is also at the Emerge Art Fair, and so I invited people to come and wash my hair, which may not sound like a really big deal, but if you're a black woman, hair it's very personal and private, and prior to doing this piece, the only people who had ever touched my hair were my aunts, my mother, and professionals. Like, my boyfriend doesn't touch my hair, you know, like, So to let strangers actually sort of put oil on your scalp and wash your hair, it's a very intimate experience. And this is a piece called Revival, and it was an art baptism. So again, on social media, I put out a call, and I just said, if you are looking for a transition in your artistic life, and you want to be art baptized, we'll go to the pool at the Capitol Skyline. This is a piece that was done at Hamiltonian Gallery. I see Angie was in here earlier. It's called Pristine, and again, I'm playing with racial dynamics. So I put an ad in the paper looking for a gallery assistant, but I specified that she had to be white, she had to be female, she had to be very attractive, very well educated, and willing to work long hours for very little money. Which is essentially, if you're in the art world, that's essentially the description of most gallery assistants. But of course, you can't place an ad asking for, you know, a white, pretty female. So that was an intentional kind of provocation and a little bit of a shock. And my ad got pulled off of Craigslist and flagged, which is exactly what I hoped would happen. So thankfully, people are being aware and vigilant, and people wrote me and said, you can't do that. I'm like, yes, I know. And so I ended up hiring another performance artist, Dina Hyatt, and her job was to wash piles of marble rocks all day while I went and had meetings and got my nails done. And then I took the best marble rock, the most pristine specimen, and presented it as my work. So again, playing with these dynamics within the art world. This is a project that just happened last week, and it's ongoing with Capital Fringe. So every week, once a week in October, they've been doing the Pillow Project. So they invited 5 artists to design a pillow that had something to do with DC, and they distributed 50 pillows for free. So here I am in Anacostia last week distributing my pillow, which here's a close-up of the design. So this is, again, hearkening back to the house and black space, but I put "don't sleep" on a pillow. So the phrase "don't sleep" in sort of, old school hip hop plans basically means don't take me for granted, don't underestimate me, essentially. And also, don't become lax, don't just fall asleep. So don't sleep. So I feel like it's important right now when we talk about DC, when we talk about preserving Black cultural space, is for us to wake up and to also become defenders of that space. There's something I didn't read that I wanted to, I'm going to go back, and it's a little manifesto that was part of the Black Space project. And it says, "The district has been a center of Black culture since the early 1900s and hosted a majority Black population from 1960 until 2010. I believe that regardless of ethnicity or background, as DC residents and tourists, we all occupy Black space, and we have a responsibility to care for and preserve that cultural richness." And so that's my personal manifesto and part of my mission and what I'm out here trying to do. Thank you for supporting that. A couple of projects I have coming up in 2016. I'm partnering again with DC Public Library Foundation. They have been awesome to work with. I'm doing a piece called Race, Talc and Ash. It's a duet performance, and it's looking at gentrification, and it's 2 performers standing inside of almost like a picture frame on the floor, and one is filled with talc and one is filled with ash, and we're racing against each other, but we can't leave our boxes, and our boxes are always touching. We actually can't break free of each other. And so it's this idea of when you try to get ahead, who are you maybe leaving behind, and to think about that. And then for 2017, I want to create a modular Black space. And actually, Joel had asked me if we could bring Black space into the library, but you saw in the video how hard it is to put together. So my dream is to create this modular Black space that can just go in a little truck and be wheeled out and be bolted together in maybe an hour or 2 instead of 8. I'm also going to be doing a series of workshops. The working title is Welcoming Whiteness, with the idea that as DC no longer, I don't know if you know this, DC no longer has a Black majority. I think it's about 48 or 49% Black. And there's a lot of tension I've noticed with my white friends and my Black friends about how to interact and with people who've just lived in DC their whole lives or for a very long time. So I want to do these workshops about basically teaching younger white folks who may have come from other sort of social cultures how to be more welcoming, and teaching long-term residents how to welcome newcomers. So that's an idea I have. And in closing, I want to leave you with a little poem that I wrote. When I travel, I do these dispatches. Instead of taking photos, I try to capture the place with words. And this is the first time I did one for DC. It was right before I was getting ready to move. And so this is just excerpts from it. DC Dispatch, August 14th, 2015. Joella says the new moon is the perfect time to ask the universe for what you want, that it's a time of new beginnings and clearing out. You can ask for anything, she says, matter-of-factly, anything. Dear New Moon, I'd like to ask for the life I already have. I want neighbors that knock on my door to borrow a cup of sugar and then stay for tea. I want the cross breeze in my bedroom that comes late at night if I open both windows, what my southern-born nephew would call God's air. I want to invite 9 friends to sit around my table on mismatched chairs and eat until we are stuffed to the gills, and then dance in the living room until 2 in the morning and drink until we are well drunk and stumble across the hall or down the street, but never far to the place called home. I want to ride my bike downhill and get to yoga class in under 10 minutes because despite my best efforts at starting the day mindfully, I'm almost always running late. I want to stretch and down dog and cat and cow in a studio full of light in a room full of people where I'm never the only black girl. I want U Street and bumping into friends. I want Trader Joe's and Whole Foods and Safeway and Harris Teeter because I'm spoiled and I've been blessed to never live in a food desert. I want to hear the echoing of drums on Sunday afternoon and know that my community is doing its thing in the park across the street. I want to be able to think of a continent or a country and be able to get food from that place cooked by people who were born there. I want DJs who spin soulful house music and old school hip hop beats at tiny bars where people admire you for pulling out your 1980s New Jack Swing moves. And while we're at it, there are a few things I'd like to ask for that I don't already have. New Moon, I need you to be the Beyonce to my Jay-Z and sing Let Me Upgrade Ya, know what I mean? So here's my list of new things. I want a retirement account that actually contains money. I want a dedicated studio and to invite collectors and artist friends to see all the new work I've been making. I want to meet President Obama while he's still in office. Or Michelle, or both, since we're talking new moon power and asking for anything. You've got your work cut out for you, but I have faith in you, new moon. And even though this last line is addressed to the new moon, I think it could also be put to all of us here who are committed to making this city the best place it could possibly be and preserving the cultural history and social traditions of DC. We've got our work cut out for us, but I have faith in you. Thank you.